Hello, everyone. I'm Father Brett Williams. Welcome to the second episode on the synodal process. It's great to have you back with us. I hope you found the first episode about what synods are and what synodality is, as well as an understanding perhaps for us of the Pope's vision for the Church of the third millennium. I hope that you found that helpful and useful. This second episode will touch on the process, how we are undertaking this consultation, this listening. As you can well imagine, a consultation process throughout the world with 1.8 billion people from different cultures and language groups is not an easy thing to do. And so the synodal process is a little bit complicated. So I think it's good for us to break it down and to get an understanding of what's happening. And this is important because we're all part of this process. We're participating. And if you're not, I encourage you to get involved, to participate. Why? Because you are part of the church. I am part of the church. We are all part of the church. Baptism gives us this responsibility and privilege of participating in the life of the church. We should not, we cannot, if we want to be a part of a church that is walking together, we cannot leave decision makings and discussions just to bishops, popes, or priests, or a select few. No, we should all be part of this process. And so let's have a look at the process. Let's see where you are at in the process, what you have done and what you can do further. So the process is divided up into sort of 3-4 stages. And I'm not entirely sure about the fourth stage because the Pope recently expanded the synodal process. Another year has been added on. So it was due to come to an end in October 2023. However, the Pope has said that there will be another synod on synodality in Rome in October 2024. And so that process between, that time between the two synods in Rome, I'm a little bit uncertain of at the moment. I'm sure we will get clarity about that soon. But at the moment, they're very clear 3 stages. The first stage we have completed. You will remember that that stage took place last year. On the weekend of the 9th and 10th of October, the Pope launched the Synod on synodality in Rome. And then a week later, we in the Archdiocese launched the process. In fact, bishops in all the world launched the process. We then had a time of prayer, followed by time of consultation. Various questions were given to us, and we answered those, we spoke about those, we prayed about those, we came together in small groups to reflect on those, and each parish then submitted a report. And the diocesan report went through to the Southern African Catholic Bishops' Conference, who compiled a report from all the reports from the different dioceses around Southern Africa. That report went through then to Rome. And so this working document that has now come to us is a summary, if you like, of all the reports, 112 reports received from different bishops' conferences around the world. It's a summary of the voices of God's people, of ordinary men and women. It's a summary of where the church is at, what challenges the church, and what ignites and keeps alive the mission of the church. And so it's important for us to reflect on this document, and that's the start of the second stage. The Synod of Bishops has asked us to reflect on this document, which has been given the name Enlarge the Space of Your Tent, which is taken from the 54th chapter of the prophet Isaiah. We are called to listen, to speak about, to share amongst ourselves once we have read and prayed about this working document. We are then to submit a report. What do we think of the voices of our brothers and sisters, the opinions, the ideas, the challenges, the joys of our brothers and sisters? What do we think about them? And another report will go through to the Continental gathering of bishops. So in other words, in March 2023, bishops, lay people, young people, old people from the continent of Africa will gather, and they will look at the reports that have come from this second stage of consultation. And they will then produce a report that will go to Rome. So Rome will receive the reports from the different continents and produce the working document, Instrumentum Laboris, for the Synod in October 2023. So the second stage is where we're at now. And a document will be produced for the bishops, the people of Africa. So Africa gets a chance to make its voice heard. If we look at this document for the continental stage, Enlarge the Space of Your Tent, we are encouraged by it. Well, I'm encouraged by it. And in the third episode in this series, I'll give a brief summary of that document. So stay tuned. It's an easy document to read. It's not a long document, certainly not long by Vatican standards. But Rome has asked us to read that document, to reflect on what we're reading. And they've given us some guidelines, some ways to reflect, to hopefully make it easier for us, but also to narrow our focus so that when we compile the report for that meeting of bishops in Africa, we're all sort of on the same page. And the three sort of questions that they give us to help in our reflection are the following. First, we've got to ask ourselves, what institutions resonate most strongly with us in our lived experiences and realities of the church here in Durban? What works? What doesn't work for us? Which experiences are new or illuminating to you? The experiences that we read. Are there things that we read in this document that we didn't know about, that we didn't know people in other parts of the world were dealing with? So that's the first question that should guide our reflections for the second stage. The second question is, what substantial tensions or divergences emerge as particularly important in your continent's perspective? In other words, what are the questions or issues that should be addressed and considered in the next steps of the process? What do we think the bishops of Africa should deal with most urgently? What are the difficulties and challenges, the things we disagree about? Can we address them? Can we find ways of moving forward? And then the third question, the third guide for us, Rome asks us to consider the priorities or the recurring themes and calls to action that we find. What are the big points, the big themes, the big issues that we see in this document that we think should be discussed at the first session of the Synod in October 2023? So now each bishop should gather the team, the Synod team, together with different lay people and organizations, representatives from the youth and from the religious life, to consider these questions and then submit a report to our Bishops' Conference, who will then issue another report to the Continental Assembly. So that's where we're at. We've done the first stage last year. We're in the second stage now. And it's exciting that we get to participate as brothers and sisters of Africa in this process. So we mustn't miss this opportunity. And hopefully our bishops will send representatives that will speak clearly of the South African Catholic experience and challenge and response and joys. Okay, so that's the second episode done. I look forward to seeing you again for the third episode, where we'll summarize this wonderful document for the Continental stage. God bless. Bye-bye.